Well, it looks like Donald Trump's case has run its course. I have a TV just off to the side of the camera here where I'm reading that Mershon has given jury instructions. They're going to get the case today. We could have a verdict today. Yesterday, Robert De Niro showed up, I guess at the behest of Joe Biden or the Joe Biden campaign, to make a statement. Someone who is quintessentially New York, Robert De Niro. And Fox News had a day, a freak out. They can't handle it. And they are, as normal, not a surprise, not a shock, not unexpected. They are suspending reality itself in order to make arguments against Robert De Niro himself, but also what he said. I'm going to share with you here a very brief moment of some very poignant comments made by Robert De Niro about Donald Trump, about the violence, about the chaos, about the lack of adherence to any decent manner with which to act as a guy who wants to be president again. And then I'm going to play Jeanine Pirro, Judge Jeanine Pirro. I think she was a probate judge or something. She was not like some federal, she was not a high-ranking, important person. And she just slathers the airwaves with her nonsense about Robert De Niro, calling him a geezer, and he's virtually the same age as Donald Trump. Like they went to high school at the same time. Robert De Niro is like 80. Donald Trump is getting ready to turn 78 years old in a few days, in less than 2 weeks. Anyway, here's Robert De Niro. We'll talk about that. Then we'll move on to Judge Jeanine Pirro.
Somehow he even got self-styled patriots to support a man who called for terminating the Constitution, and on January 6th rallied an angry mob to threaten democracy, leaving death and destruction in its wake. That's why I needed to be involved and wanted to be involved in the new Biden-Harris ad, because it shows the violence of Trump and reminds us that he'll use violence against anyone who stands in the way of his megalomania and greed. But it's a coward's violence. You think Trump ever threw a punch himself or took one? This guy who ran and hid in the White House bunker when there were protesters outside? No way. He doesn't get blood on his hands. No, he doesn't. He directs the mob to do his dirty work for him by making a suggestion, an inference. And his gang grovels and follows his obvious order.
Now, I chose those particular remarks because he has former Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn, who's now running for Congress in an adjoining congressional district in Maryland here, and Michael Fanone, I believe his first name is Michael, former Metropolitan D.C. police officer, who both were there, both were assaulted. Fanone had a heart attack because of being tased over and over in the neck at the behest of Donald Trump, with the armed insurrectionist mob attempting to overthrow the United States government by way of overturning a free and fair election, settled American election. Everything that Robert De Niro said was true there. Facts, pointing to history, talking about the dangers that Donald Trump poses. And when you tell the truth about Donald Trump and you have a megaphone like the words of Robert De Niro, Fox News and conservatives all across the country are going to freak out, because the truth, that's something they can't handle. That's something they just can't deal with. So Jeanine Pirro took to her show, The Five, asked permission, is it my turn to speak yet? And then went on her nonsense diatribe about Robert De Niro. Watch this.
Is it my turn?
It is.
Okay. Donald Trump wants to destroy the city, the country, and the world. You know, my question for Robert De Niro is, what have you done for New York City, Robert De Niro? What have you done? Is there a building with your name on it? Have you built skyscrapers? Has the skyline of New York changed because of all of your vision? No. You had to read everything you read to get ahead in life, and now you're reading a script at a Biden-arranged press conference. You're a loser, and I'm not surprised you needed that. And let me say this about the Biden administration. They're bleeding women, minorities, and they bring out this geezer who can't, in a mask to trash Trump.
If you say something negative about the dear leader, you will be dealt with. You'll be dispatched by Jeanine Pirro. A geezer. He's 80 years old. Donald Trump will be 78 in just days. Birthday in the middle of June sometime, just before mine. So who's a geezer? How is that some kind of a slice and dice insult? Oh, argument over. He's an old guy. And as far as what Robert De Niro has done for New York City, we'll get to that with the Tribeca Film Festival here, but just because your name is on a building, it's not like New York City names the buildings and Donald Trump is so important that the city of New York deems them, oh, this is the Trump Tower. We're going to name this Trump. Ugh. That's not how it works. Donald Trump is such an ego idiot. He puts his own name because of his rampant, deeply rooted insecurities. He has to name everything Trump. But as far as that element is concerned, what has Robert De Niro done for the city of New York? In the wake of 9/11, the horrific terrorist attack, I know the demographics of my audience, I know your ages, you're my age and older. You remember 9/11, the horror, the panic that ensued, the desperation that the country at large felt. I lived here in Washington, D.C. on 9/11. Back decades ago. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of work done to bring New York back. And Robert De Niro was a part of that. While Donald Trump, on the day that the towers fell, was out there saying, well, now my building is the tallest building in South Manhattan or whatever he said, wasn't focused on the loss of life and the terror. He was focused on, well, now my building's the tallest. At the same moment, Robert De Niro was working tirelessly to try to think of something to bring New York back. And he did that by founding the Tribeca Film Festival. And I'll just read from their website. The festival was founded by Robert De Niro, Jane Rosenthal, and Craig Hatkoff in 2001 to spur the economic and cultural revitalization of Lower Manhattan following the attacks of the World Trade Center. The annual Tribeca Festival will celebrate its 22nd year from June 7th to 18th, 2023 in New York City. What has he done? Well, he's done that. He certainly hasn't grifted and scammed and looted the city and the state of New York by failing to pay taxes, to defrauding the taxpayers and the government of New York State, which has already been adjudicated in the case brought by the Attorney General. So yep, you can answer your own questions there, Judge Jeanine Pirro, co-host of The Five. Is it my turn to talk? It's a cult. What do you think? I would love to know. You can leave a comment below. That always helps trigger to YouTube to recommend this channel to new viewers, and that is great. You can also call, leave me a voicemail, 714-576-4054. Of course, you can email me, as always, daily@dollemore.com. Thank you very much. I would also thank you in advance if you'd consider supporting this work. You can click the join button below this video, become a channel member on YouTube for $1.99 a month. You can go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. That's a great way. $2 a month goes a long way to help support this work. And if you're around and you're into it, I'm on social media. I'd love to see you there. At Dollemore is where you can find me virtually everywhere. I love and appreciate you. Thanks for your dedication, for your engagement. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.